So here we go. Since 2015, which was our first year reviewing proposals, we have reviewed 1,121 grant proposals. And we've had over 1,000 volunteers like you who have participated as reviewers. We have a very high satisfaction rate. Nearly all of the evaluators, whether they come back or not, tell me they enjoyed the experience, learned a lot. We've very few criticisms about the experience over our time. Generally, the main reason people don't do it is they don't, it's time. It is a little bit of a time commitment to review with us. We do our best to make it quick for you, but it will take you a few hours to review with us this round. Many evaluators also submit their own proposals to us, and we encourage proposal authors who submit to us to join the committee and review as well. So I really like to think about the entire group as a learning community. You can have your proposal reviewed while reviewing others. This is just a really great way particularly for people who are working with proposals on a day-to-day basis, either writing them or reading them or consulting for groups that use them to raise money. This is just a really great way to stay in touch with the field and develop yourself professionally. Great to see all of you here today at this Q&A. Every round since the beginning, we have made some improvements, and I'll discuss some of our most recent improvements this round. Those improvements come from comments that evaluators make. And some of those comments come in Q&As like this, so maybe we'll have come up with some new ideas today. First, let's just do a quick review of the timeline for this round. We're currently accepting proposals on unfundedlist.com. You go there, anyone can submit their grant proposal to us. The form is accepting proposals. We have received 7 through the main website so far. It's a pretty diverse batch of proposals, mostly from the US so far. There's one group, there's a dental clinic for veterans in Florida. Something called the Actor Center. I used to be an actor, so I'm excited to read that one personally. There's a retreat center in New York and a couple different community run organizations. One of our partnerships for the spring is with Kujalink. This is our second time working with them. We partnered with them last round. So Kujalink is a platform for CSOs, a community support organization, NGO, nonprofits, from all over the world, particularly from the global south, or the list of OECD countries that receive humanitarian assistance. So these are countries that are eligible to receive international development grants from places like USAID. The nonprofits from there are submitting proposals to big funders all over the world, and they like getting feedback from us. So we expect to have about 50 to 100 proposals from them. So if you are running a nonprofit in one of the world's poorer countries, you can sign up for a free account on Kujalink. It's kujalink.org. And everybody who has an account on Kujalink can submit to us. If you're not on the Kujalink platform, the American groups that have submitted to us so far this round, they each pay a $100 administrative fee. And we only charge that for the first submission, so groups who come back don't have to pay the fee. That is mostly just because it does take some time to assess new organizations, make sure that everybody understands what's happening here, right? We don't want people applying here thinking that they're applying for a grant and then receiving feedback instead. That won't go particularly well. We only want to give feedback to people who are very specifically requesting it. From now until March 30th, folks can submit proposals. The special Kujalink form will be available March 15th to March 30th. As the proposals come in, I read them and start thinking about which evaluators will be best to use them. By April 5th, I'm going to send out assignments to all of those evaluators. Everybody will receive a thoughtful batch of assignments based on what you told me when you signed up, and whatever other information I know about you. So if you told me you want to read proposals from Nigeria or proposals from Argentina, you're going to get proposals from those countries this round. If you told me you only want to read domestic stuff, you're probably going to get domestic stuff. If you said give me anything, right? I'm probably going to give you the ones. I might give you the ones that are harder to get reviewed. If you want to update your preferences, if there's a specific type of proposal you want to read, feel free to let me know anytime. send me an email, say, I'd like to read this sort of thing. If your request is very niche, I might not have a great proposal for you. But in general, we're going to have them from all over the world. So regional preferences, I'm almost certainly going to be able to honor. And if you're like, I prefer health, or I prefer climate change, or I prefer this issue or that issue, I can probably honor that as well. So my goal is to send all the assignments on April 5th. It'll definitely happen by April 10th. That's there's no way it'll take me longer than that. That's if every single thing goes wrong, I'll need those 5 extra days. But everybody will have all of their assignments by then. And then you're going to have a good long while, 6 full weeks to complete your assignments. I'll be in touch pretty much every week during the round. We might do some training sessions. I might do another Q&A like this, depending on what sort of material, what sort of resources people are asking for. And then your feedback will be due on May 15th. And as you'll see in the comments over here, just a humble appeal. I know a lot of you are going to wait to the last day. We get generally more than half of all of our evaluations come on the last day, and I appreciate that you're getting them done. But the earlier they come in, the earlier I can read them and start putting them in the reports. I'm the one who has to look over all this stuff, make sure you didn't swear at them and that you're actually giving helpful feedback. Put that into the reports. The software I use makes it a lot easier for me than it used to be, but it is still a lot of work. And you can make that easier for me by submitting your feedback early. Feel free to, I really appreciate it. There are some evaluators who finish on the day they get their assignments. So on April 5th, I'm going to email them their assignments. They are going to immediately review their proposals. That's great. And unfortunately, you get rewarded by, I'll probably ask you to review some more. But yeah, you are encouraged to review at your own schedule. We think the 6-week period is a good long while. It takes on average about an hour to review a proposal, but the range is quite wild. I know some folks take like a full day and they do lots of research and background and they take their time writing their comments. Other folks can review a proposal in a matter of minutes by going very quickly. Whatever your preferred approach, like, we appreciate it. Get those comments in so we can include them in the reports. And I will send those reports on June 1st. I'm going to, again, it's possible I'll be a day or two late, but I'm going to spend that time from May 15th to June 1st, putting these reports together, sending them out. And then I'm going to give them some time to read it. I also am going to my 20th college reunion on June 7th. So I'll be away for a couple weeks there, give the authors time to read their reports. It will include feedback from at least 4 different authors. Last round, the average was 6. And then when I get back from my reunion, for the rest of June and July, we'll be having conversations over Google Meet with the groups to go over the feedback, discuss next steps, make sure they understand the reports, brainstorm things, try to be as helpful as we can. The discussions are really important for putting a bow on the report. That's also where we also encourage the authors to submit proposals over, like, this is an ongoing process, this fundraising. So feel free to keep sending us proposals time after time after time. I think the groups that have gotten the most out of our review have been the groups that have sent us more than one proposal. So as I mentioned, this is our second time reviewing with KujaLink. So I'd like to give you some details from the fall. And thanks to those of you, I know there's some of you here who participated in these reviews. So we had a total of 70 proposals, I think. No, it was 68. Yeah, 68 proposals when it all shook out. 50 of them came from the KujaLink platform. We weren't doing much marketing. We were just sort of focused on the KujaLink partnership. So this was just kind of a small batch to the website. We had 18 non-KujaLink proposals, 11 new ones, 7 groups that had submitted previously. We already have 7 that have come into the website with plenty of time left this round. So I'm hoping to get lots of non-KujaLink stuff this round as well. We could have as many as 200 proposals this round if it all goes well. And I do think we have enough evaluators to cover that. As far as the KujaLink proposals come from, they come from, like I said, all over the world. I'm pretty sure this is a comprehensive list of countries. I'm sure I would mispronounce one of them if I tried to read the full list. But we've got countries in South America, Africa. We had a proposal from Ukraine last round. I am hoping to have some more proposals from there. Put the full list in the chat. As in terms of where these groups are applying, again, large list of global grant makers. And I can probably pronounce most of these, but in the interest of time, put them here in the chat. And I'm going to share this outline afterwards so you can see. So these are the types, these are where these groups are coming from, and these are the types of funders that they're applying to. When they get their report, we show them this video. I'm going to stop talking for almost 2 minutes so you can hear a recording of my voice that I made a little while ago. David and I made this video. So this video is generally only seen by the authors, but I thought it would be useful to show it to you today. This is the video that we show them when we send the report. The video is called How We Made Your Report. And we'll play.
Hi, I'm Dave Moss, founder of the Unfunded List. You wrote a proposal. That's awesome. We believe that every proposal deserves helpful and candid feedback from experts. We want to help you find the funding you need, and so it's our pleasure to provide you with this comprehensive feedback report, including reviews from multiple evaluators. And I'd like to take a moment to tell you how we made your report. First, we received proposals through our website, or one of our co-review partners like MIT or Mentor Capital Network shared your proposal with us. Next, we read it and assigned every proposal to the evaluators best positioned to help. Our evaluation committee includes hundreds of members. Professional fundraisers, experienced grant makers, and well-networked connectors round out the committee. As each reviewer completes our evaluation form, the reviews are added to the report along with the name and background of each reviewer. And if any evaluators made any commitments, we've indicated that as well. Please note that the reviewers do not see each other's comments. We only share this feedback report with you. We won't show it to anyone else. Once you've read your report, the best next step is to schedule time to speak to someone at the Unfunded List team. Those of you who've submitted previously know that these calls are a great way to follow up on commitments, discuss your reviews, and brainstorm next steps. We look forward to speaking with you. Here at Unfunded List, we know how hard all of you are working. We'll be here to review your next proposal too. We hope that you'll come back to us for years to come. Thank you again for your submission. Enjoy your report, and good luck with your funding.
So yeah, like I said, that's
all right.
So David and I have actually made several how Unfunded List works videos over the years, and you can actually see all of them at this link. I'm not going to play them all today, but there's also there is a how to review video as well. That usually comes with your assignments. We also have that video embedded in the matrix, so you can watch that at any time you want. And it's just sort of the inverse of this last video. And again, that last one that's what we send them to explain how we put the report together. Hopefully that's helpful for you to see it from that perspective. As I mentioned earlier, we had about 60 evaluators complete our evaluator survey after last round. And we read it quite carefully and got some pretty key takeaways here. The number one thing that evaluators commented on was that they'd love a tool. Some of them used the word toolkit, or they would ask for sample posts, or just in general templates. In general, they want me to make it easier for them to share information with other folks. We've always had a communications toolkit that I've shared periodically. I'm not necessarily a communications professional. It's not the world's greatest toolkit, but I've got a link to it here. We've sent it out previously. You can just take a look at it here. It's got some images, and then this document has a bunch of boilerplate language, reminders about the deadline, sample posts, all the information one would need. Again, I'm not much of a communications professional. I did my best putting that thing together. One of our committee members, Jennifer, is currently trying to make some improvements to it. and she's been interviewing individual evaluators. She's looking for a few more to talk to. So if that's something that you're particularly interested in, we really want to spread the word about the program. One of the most common things I hear from people is that they've never heard, like, why have they never heard of it? I'll go to a conference and I'll explain what Unfunded List does and what we do. And they're like, that's amazing. Why have I never, they're angry at me because they've never heard of it. I'm trying my best, but I would love your help spreading the word. Hopefully this media toolkit, which we've recently improved and will continue to improve, makes that easier for you. Another thing we learned from the survey is that LinkedIn is probably the best social media for you. We used to post in a variety of other places. Going forward, we're going to focus our social media outreach on LinkedIn. Just sort of a small change. I'm going to be formatting posts for there, like the images will be sized for that. And that's generally how I'll be thinking about spreading the word as opposed to some other platforms. We are thinking about incorporating WhatsApp into how we communicate with folks. This round, because we're going to have a lot of global folks, and we did have some problems communicating over email last round. We're going to try to add WhatsApp in to, like, when we're sending the reports and do some follow-up over there, which will hopefully make things go a little smoother on that end. And if that goes well, maybe we incorporate that onto the evaluator side as well. Our primary method of communicating with evaluators is email. They are making some changes to how email gets sent this month that make me a little nervous. I think it's slightly more likely that I'll end up in your spam box after March 15th. So please check in there. One thing you can do now, make sure to read. If I've sent you an email in the past, make sure to read it. That helps me, like, improve my reputation or whatever. But the program doesn't work if you're not getting my emails. So that's a big part of it at the moment. Another thing we've heard is, so we would review anything, including proposals where the author didn't even know where they were going to apply and couldn't even tell you. Like, they've written a proposal and they want it funded, but they don't even know what, like, if they're going to send it to a foundation or who or where. We've heard from evaluators time and time again, and I've seen this in the reports, that our feedback is more helpful if we know where you applied. And so we're going to, hopefully with no exceptions, but I am kind of a softie, we're going to do our best to make sure that all the proposals this round indicate, either where it was submitted or where they hope to submit it, so that when you're evaluating the proposal, you can consider that funder's preferences and whether it's a fit. And if you think there's other different foundations that aren't a fit. Those kinds of suggestions were really hard to make when we would just be reading an unsubmitted proposal. And so we're going to really make a push here. It's a required question now that they list where they submitted the proposal. And we're going to encourage them to share, if possible, the RFP that they applied to as well. We also, one of the things is that we learned from the surveys that evaluators enjoy volunteering with us, and I do really appreciate that contribution. But in general, not very interested in donating to Unfunded List to support our operations. And I get that. I can't say I'm not disappointed. It was previously a big strategy of mine to try to increase the number of evaluators who donated to us. But the percentage is quite low, even though we have so many of you generously giving of your time. Clearly not much interest in supporting us financially. And so you're going to be receiving fewer requests from me. I will occasionally give you a link to donate for those of you who want to do it, and it's very much appreciated. But it's not a big part of the strategy. Unfortunately for us, we've made more partner revenue already in 2024 than we've received evaluator donations all time, going back to 2015. So the combination of that and the survey results, we're going to make a shift in strategy there, which for you just means more focus on the volunteer experience and less asks for money from me. Again, you want to make a donation, please feel free. We accept them 365 days a year. Or this year, I guess, one extra day a year. We also, there were some subtle comments in the survey and also over the years about how some of the prompts on our feedback form are phrased. So you read the report and then we have these prompts, right? Well, the first one is, what are your overall impressions? And then another one is like, were there any spelling mistakes? And then there's, what did you think of the budget, right? And like prompt you to give helpful and candid comments. We've made some tweaks to those prompts. We brought back some retired questions that were missed apparently, and we've changed some languages, clarified some terms that we use, and I think it'll make for better reports. Lastly, on the tech side, I don't really understand all the specifics here, but we made a bunch of performance updates to our custom reviewing software. I think everything should load faster. And in particular, your assignments will load first now. It used to be that like everything else loaded and then your assignments. And so now right when you get in there, you're going to see the stuff that you're supposed to review pop up first. But everything on the site should load faster this round. We've increased the speed a little bit. It's built on for those of you who are concerned about this, it's built on a secure platform. We follow industry best practices to secure our data. To my knowledge, there's never been a breach or a hacking attempt or anything of that sort. And we also run, and are doing so this month, regular accessibility scans. Our site works on screen readers and every other best practice thing to be as accessible as possible. We've had several heart of site folks evaluate proposals, which is great to have more folks participate. So those are some of the improvements we've made in response to the survey. I would say that the main thing we got from the survey was around the toolkit, was that you wanted more like in a can ways to share the program and more instruction on how to talk about what we're doing. If there's ever a like VIP in your life, donor or someone who works at a foundation or grant maker who's interested in Unfunded list, you can tell them you know the founder, and I'll be very happy to talk to them one-on-one or however they want me to talk to them, quite frankly. And if you need help doing that intro, feel free to get in touch with me regularly. I am very responsive over email. If you send me an email and you're an evaluator, you're probably going to hear back from me that day. All right, so we're going to go into, here are just some general tips for reviewing with us. I'm going to try to be done here by 12:30 so we can spend the rest of the time on questions. But as you're reviewing the proposals, do your best, right? And don't be shy. If you're reading the proposal, you have a thought in your head in response to the proposal, we would like to hear it. We want that. I don't care so much about that thought being right or correct, but your perspective has tremendous value, and that's what we're trying to get here. And if you are thinking something in response to the proposal, then it's possible that someone at the grant maker is thinking the same thing. So we really want to find out as many responses as possible so we can include those in the reports so that the authors can move forward. At the same time, extend the benefit of the doubt. If something doesn't make sense or it looks like something's missing, don't assume that they missed it intentionally. Again, usually most of these proposals were originally submitted somewhere else. And we've done our best to make one form that works for all of these different grant making programs and allows them to upload it. And not for nothing, many of these folks don't speak English as their main language and are from some of the poorest countries on the planet, right? So we really want to never assume that they should have known better and that sort of thing. Calmly explain what you see as a mistake and why you viewed it as a mistake. One of the best writing tips I ever got I had a boss who told me, whenever you're writing, try to keep 2 words in mind. Our writing style at that organization was sincere and direct. So my job there was to write thank you letters for the founder. And whenever you're writing those thank you letters, just try to keep it sincere and direct, right? And that was very helpful for me to write nice, sincere, direct thank you letters. Here, our 2 words are helpful and candid. As you are writing your comments, doesn't matter what prompt it is, you're write something helpful and candid. If you're writing it and it's it doesn't look helpful or candid, then it's probably not a good comment, and we don't necessarily need it, right? We're focusing on helpful and and candid. If it's bad news, do your best to deliver that bad news with some kindness. And like I said before, don't worry about being right. Right is hard to define. And these folks are applying to all kinds of different grant makers who have wildly different priorities for how they fund, right? We're trying to collect a bunch of different perspectives, give them feedback. We're not going to solve all their problems for them. do your best and define your perspective, right? Give them some background about yourself. I think some of the best comments we've ever had, start with like, as a program officer at a foundation, I was concerned with this section. Like that people are gonna be like, oh, well, I should care about that. Or like, as someone who has written grants for organizations like these, I always use this approach. That's another very helpful quite bit. That's generally just a good tip for public speaking or any kind of speaking or writing. Share some of your background or credibility up front, including personal experiences. Sometimes evaluators will write like long stories in the comments about things that have happened to them that were similar, or like when they tried to write similar proposals. And everybody, feel free, write that stuff down. It's great. We love that stuff. There are no character limits to any of these things. You can write as much as you want. And I assure you, the authors are excited to read as much as you want to write for them. And then, I would also say don't be shy about the fundamentals. Give them the benefit of the doubt. But many of them, have not been to a grant writing training. This might be the first time they're writing a proposal. Some of the basics of how to do fundraising and philanthropy, perhaps no one's ever told them, and you'll need to be the first to tell them. So feel free to, and even if it seems like a very basic comment, one of the things that will happen here is that same basic comment, all 5 reviewers said it independent of each other. And so that when I go into the report discussion, it's very difficult for the author to argue with it. Because I'm like, yes, you might be right, but then that means we were all independently wrong, right? And then just last tip, believe it or not, reviewing grant proposals is not always glamorous. A lot of what's happening here is you're just fixing small mistakes, making subtle suggestions, asking questions, right? Your comments are not necessarily going to directly lead to millions of dollars for these organizations. That's happened here. Every now and then, someone's comment leads to millions of dollars for these organizations. So go ahead, but we've put millions of comments into reports at this point, and most of them are just here's some advice. Here's something I thought while I was reading your proposal, right? They're not hearing these thoughts from anyone else. We are one of the only sources of this level of feedback for everybody, and even though it's not glamorous, doesn't mean it's not incredibly helpful. Right. So I did a podcast interview over the summer, and they asked me to make a list of mistakes that grant authors make. You can listen to that whole, look for it wherever you find your podcasts. But here's that list. So my number 1 was that they aren't necessarily making mistakes. You can make no mistakes and still have your proposal rejected. As a reviewer, please do your best to give them your thoughts so they can have a sounding board, move on to their next opportunity with gusto. When they do make mistakes, though, I think the most common one is funder fit. They've applied to a funder that is not a particularly good fit. That's why I think it's great that we're going to be including as many of the RFPs so we're going to know where they applied, so that as a reviewer you can comment on whether or not you thought that was a fit. If you think there's funders that are a better fit, let them know that. Right, and funder fit is something that pretty much all grant writers are familiar with and struggle with. On the funder side, many of them have a strategy, and that's what they're looking for organizations that fit that strategy. So this is very important. And I would say that the authors we review have not always put themselves in the shoes of the other people involved, right? They know they need money, and they've written a proposal, and they've submitted it off. They haven't really spent much time thinking about the reviewers that will read it or the other people in their fields who are writing proposals, right? The best proposals I've ever read are ones that understand that were written, where the author very clearly has spent some time thinking about the people reading their proposal and the other organizations working on this. Then, right, that should say failed. The author sometimes fails to answer the question. Pretty straightforward. The question asked one thing and they wrote a whole long answer and it did not answer the question, right? Or you yourself read the proposal and there are just sort of things jumping out to you that you're wondering about. Any kind of unanswered questions you have, we're really going to want to make sure we include those in the comment boxes. And lastly, every now and then we read proposals that are just sort of not reality based. they're asking for way too much money. The timeline's not real. It's just, you're reading it and it just doesn't seem realistic. And I would say, do comment on that. And try to do it with kindness. Don't say this, this is destined to fail, or don't call it pie in the sky, that sort of thing. But say, hey, this doesn't seem realistic to me because of my experience, or when I did this sort of thing, it took much longer, that kind of stuff. Many first-time writers sort of underestimate how long and how expensive and how much money they'll be able to raise early on. Very quickly, we sent an email out about this a little while ago. In the survey, a lot of you want to know some follow-up, like, is this feedback helping? Are we helping them raise more money, right? And the answer is yes, undoubtedly yes. Even before I did the study, I was pretty sure that feedback from people who know what they're doing helps improve proposals. But we've been around for a little while. I was able to go back to 2016, 2018. I looked at all of the groups we reviewed who had 501c3s back then, which means that their tax returns were public. So I could see how much money they raised the year before we reviewed them. And then all of them still had that status in 2022. So I was able to compare how much they raised 5 years after we first reviewed them. 87% of it was like 40 organizations total that fit the criteria. 87% of them were raising more. On average, they were raising 213% more, 3 times as much as before they were applying to us. The average amount before applying was 1.5 million. It was their annual budgets. The average amount raised by those same groups, I should say 2022. No, 2021, because it was there. The 2022 tax return comes out. Wait, never mind. It's the year before. You understand. It's fiscal year. So I was particularly excited to learn that some of the highest increases came from groups, from proposals we've highlighted on the website. Just a quick list. There's Respectability, the disability rights organization, is raising 60% more than they were the year before they applied to us. Global Press Institute, 180% more. Fast Forward, 400% more. National Medical Fellowships, which does scholarships for BIPOC medical students and has done that for a very long time, is raising 430% more this year than when they first applied to us. And actually, a lot of that increase happened before 2020. So it's not all George Floyd related stuff. And then one of the very first groups we reviewed, Leveling the Playing Field. Max hadn't raised very much money at all when he first sent us his proposal. And now is running a pretty large organization which helps kids of all income levels play sports. He raised 2,960% more 5 years after we reviewed him. Also, I should point out that Mary's Center didn't make this list percentage-wise, but they're raising like $40 million more now than the first time we reviewed them. A lot of that does have to do, it's a health center and COVID funding and that sort of thing. But we reviewed a very large number of proposals for them. They're raising a lot more money as well. Here's some basic information down here about Unfunded list, including our partnerships for 2024, which is the most exciting thing for me. I'm really excited at another round of KujaLink proposals. And then in the fall, we're going to have a large number of domestic healthcare proposals as well, and perhaps more KujaLink submissions as well. So no matter what you're interested in or the region or whatever, I'm probably going to have a good batch of proposals for you to review. We've got strong software that makes it easy for you to do those reviews quickly from the comfort of anywhere. You can review on your phone if you want, although it works better in Chrome on a computer. There we go. As you can see, I have reached the end of my outline, and I will be happy to answer any specific questions from folks. Have I possibly answered all of the questions? Okay, then. Okay, so we have a question. Thank you. This is a good question. You did not miss this. I didn't cover this. So yeah, during the review, do we make comments throughout the document or just answer the prompts at the end? Right? You're talking about, yes, track changes on the documents. If you want to do track changes on the document, I will include that in the report. But the reports that we send to the authors are long. They're between 50 and 100 pages, and that's just to feed the comments. So if I send them that and a bunch of their proposal with track changes, some of them are going to read it. They're less likely to look at those comments. And I'm going to encourage them to read the comments first. So the answer is yes, you can do that. Another thing you can do, and I love it when evaluators do this. If you want to make a video of yourself talking about the proposal, or if you want to make a quick voice memo on your phone, record yourself talking about it, and send me that file, I'll include that in the report as well. I think actually that's more likely to be heard. But we do, every round someone wants to track changes. We actually have some evaluators who print the proposal, and then these are like older evaluators generally, and they write it on with red pen, and then they fax it back to me or whatever. Whatever you are comfortable doing feedback in, I'm happy to include it in there. In terms of it being read, the comments are definitely getting read first. All of the AIs have given me they've all spelled Kujalink wrong in the AI summaries in some hilarious ways. But actually, in general, these AI summaries are pretty good. Good job, AI. You got the calendar, the timeline right. That's terrific. Any other questions from humans or artificial intelligence? One thing that it was in the outline as a note, but I'll just mention it because it's going to help me. Where do we then include our comments? Okay, I'm just going to show you, Julia. Well, I'm just going to pull up a review form. So this is the matrix. This is my founder's vision. So you see a lot more information. That was a bad one to choose. The name's too long. So this is my view. Quickly go to about, So let's say if I had assigned active youth agency to you, I think that's what everybody's seeing now. Yeah. So this is what you will see. And it gives you, so these here on the left, this is information they gave us when they sent the proposal to us, right? Just information, their Kujalink profile, we ask a question about the author and everything. And then you've got the form over here. As I mentioned, we've made some tweaks to it. This is the form from last round. So the next round's going to be slightly different. In particular, there's another question, there's an extra question under application quality. It looks like Matt was working this morning. Yeah, so this is a new question here. Is the idea described completely? There's another collaboration question. Hey, this is great. I wasn't sure these were live yet. Then budget questions, sustainability, network. You do not have to answer all of the questions. These prompts are meant to get feedback out of you. If you want to just write it all in the first one, write everything you have to say there, that's fine too, right? Or go through, answer them all and everything. If you don't answer all of them, and you still, know that you're done anyway, click I'm finished. At the very bottom these are the follow-up offers. We're probably going to make these more prominent. People have told me they have a hard time finding them. They're literally at the very bottom. So these, if you want to introduce the organization to somebody, choose introduction offer. If you yourself want to talk to them, choose direct conversation. if you want to just suggest something, hey, check out this website, just click resource suggestion. So these are comments that have a next step. And so we put them in a special section. And then during the report discussion, I make sure to go over the comments that have a next step. Right. So particularly if you want to actually talk to the author, make sure to click that direct conversation button. I'll do my best to pass that along. So Julie, I believe that answers your question. Julian. Are there organizations that have submitted their applications for mentoring for more than a year? Yes. So I was talking about Mary's Center earlier. They've sent us so this is a health center in Washington, D.C., serving the poorest residents of Washington, D.C., and those folks are quite poor. They submit a proposal at least once a year since 2018. So we've read, I don't know, maybe 10 different grant proposals from that group. Many others have sent two or three. I think, and actually the ones that have raised the most money following our review are usually groups that have sent more than one proposal. What a lot of groups will do is, so Mary Center sends us their general operations proposal. Then next round, they send us something specific for a pilot. Then it's this new program they're doing. And then there's this old language that they want to fix up, right? If you're running an ongoing grant shop, you'll have lots of different proposals. And that's how many organizations do that with us. Last round, there were 7 groups that were resubmitting proposals. This round, I'm hoping to have more than 7. Were all the forms and toolkits sent on a previous email from Dave Moss? Yes, I did. I emailed them out previously. I will send the toolkit out again. I'm also going to send this video out again. And we'll be sending as much information as possible. As I mentioned, they are making some changes to how email gets sent. Big tech companies making changes and I'm not in the room for them. This program depends on email. If you don't get my email, then you won't be able to participate. So whatever you can do on your end to make sure I stay out of your spam box. In early April, check spam to see if I get in there. If I've sent you any emails already, open them, click on all the links and stuff. That increases my trustworthiness with you, right? That sort of thing. And our tech team is doing our best to make sure that our emails are, rated well and getting to you, because we want to get as many comments as possible into these reports. Thanks, everyone. This was a very well attended Q&A, which I think bodes well for a great round. I think we're going to have plenty of helpful and candid comments on lots of great grant proposals from all over the world, and we'll help these groups raise more money and help more people. It's pretty cool, I think. Thank you, David Jaffe, for getting up early and recording this. Thanks to all the evaluators for coming. I will stick around for a minute or two if there are any other questions or comments. In particular, if anyone wants to, get more involved, we have a board of directors and committees and stuff. And there are several projects that I have in mind beyond just reviewing grant proposals that I'd like to get off of the ground. If any of you want to talk to me one-on-one about anything, really, I don't know everything about everything, but if you want to talk to me about it, I'm happy to. Give me some practice and conversation. Feel free to reach out. It is always useful for me to talk to evaluators, right? I am fundamentally managing a very large pool of volunteers. So hearing from you folks is very useful. We have the advantage that we've been doing this now for a long time. When I first did this in 2015, it was harder. It was harder. The evaluators had to do more work. You had to, it was trickier to figure things out. It took longer. It was harder for me to put the reports together and to follow up with everything. We've made a lot of improvements. The last few rounds have gone, knock on wood, very, very smoothly. And we're getting an increasing number of proposals and recognition. Please do your best to spread the word about the program. From now until March 30th, folks can send their proposals to me. We will review them We're going to review them for 6 full weeks. And if you know anybody who wants to evaluate proposals, it's a great experience. You learn a lot. If you care about a particular issue, this is a great way to get your hands on that actual issue, right? And to share some of your knowledge with folks. Thanks for all these. There was just a tremendous number of thank yous, and I'm excited to work with yous and stuff in the comments. That's great to see. I just thrilled that so many volunteers, again, over 1,000 people volunteered to review proposals with us. That's just terrific. So thanks so much, everybody. I think we've covered everything. Have the rest of your day. Julia, I assume they must have nonprofit status. No, you assume incorrectly. So I don't need them to have. So a grant maker probably requires a C3 because their distribution, their status is dependent on that. But I'm not giving any grants, so I can read anyone's proposal. Particularly the groups that aren't from the U.S. Hardly any of them are registered 501c3s. I mean, they might be registered in Malawi or whatever country they're from, but we wouldn't know anything about registration there. And that's a huge problem for a lot of them. We do sort of have to explain that reality. Many grant makers do require that nonprofit status. And you're right, many brand new organizations don't have it yet. But we review for fiscally sponsored groups that don't have their status yet. In the feedback, it's probably going to say, hey, you need your nonprofit status. Right? If that's going to be that might affect the feedback, but we will, if you send us a proposal and you answer the questions correctly, and I'm convinced that you want feedback, we're going to give it to you. I'm pretty agnostic about their status. In general, I want them applying for philanthropy funds. We won't read an investment deck from a for-profit company or stuff like that. We did in the past, and it just doesn't really work out. But yeah, if they have their nonprofit status, one thing that's useful to know is that you can then, that means that they'll have a lot of public information available. So you can, in addition, while you're reviewing, you could pull their 990 and read that information and go to their website and find extra information about them. So that's useful to know when they do have that extra status. Any other questions from folks? You mentioned additional ways to get involved. Can you share a little more? Yeah, sure. So we are a nonprofit ourselves on Unfunded list. We have a small board of directors, and it's small because some members have left over the last few years after ending their terms. And so I'm very interested in adding some more members to our board of directors. The board focuses on partnerships, fundraising, organizational stuff, insurance, our tax return, we are a nonprofit. We do all the things that a nonprofit has to do to run. Below the board are some support committees, one that focuses on fundraising, one that focuses on our tech stack and the matrix. We own our own custom software, which is pretty interesting and exciting, I guess. And then we also have a history and culture committee, and they cover primarily the content we produce. So these Q&As, webinar training sessions that we do. I am the host of a podcast, the Open Door Philanthropy podcast, which is available wherever you get your podcasts. Occasionally we do events and other things like that. In the past, so particularly before COVID, we used to do retreats. I am kind of excited to start doing those again, some in-person events. The last few we had some people show up. So, I think the main thing that we're really interested in having the support committees and board help us with is, as I mentioned earlier, spreading the word. Jennifer Ganapathy is one of our support committee members, along with a few board members, are working on a project called Building a Culture of Philanthropy, which is just sort of make it easier for evaluators to help out in little ways. So at the moment, right now, we think it's very easy for evaluators to evaluate, but it's harder for them to, share the call for proposals or things like that. So our focus is there on the media kit. Some other support committee members, right, help me with administration and the tax return every year, bookkeeping, whatever your particular interest is. We'd be pretty happy to have support. even if you don't want to join the committee or anything. I think the best next step for folks that really love what we're doing, want to help out more, I'll talk to you. Let's have a one-on-one conversation. I'm here in Central Maine. If you're in the area, I'm happy to meet in person, but we can just as easily get on Google Meet and chat. And I'm happy to do that at any time. I got a decent amount of time this March, so feel free to follow up with me. I have some more information, written information about those opportunities. All right, so this is a room that I rented, and I do have it for another 5 minutes. But they are starting to circle outside. They look like vultures. So I'm going to pack up, get out of here, and let the Central Maine Growth Council have their meeting. Again, thank you all. Thank you, David Jaffe. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, AI, for summarizing me so well. Have a great day. Send me lots of proposals and new evaluators this month. And then early next month, early April, I'm going to be sending you all assignments. And you're going to do a great job reviewing them. Have a good afternoon, morning, evening, whatever it is where you are. Thanks.